So Xzibit says that VIACOMCBS edited his music out of MTV's Pimp My Ride to avoid paying him. So I don't know if you guys in the chat who watched Pimp My Ride. I did. I think you were saying that you did as well.
Oh yeah, it was, of course it was like, that was back in the day where there wasn't like a million cable channels and different, Netflix and all that kind of stuff. So I mean,
Yeah,
that was just kind
there
of
was
everyday TV.
adaptations of they made a version for the UK. There's Pimp My Ride International in Central Europe and other adaptations in Brazil, Indonesia. Woo, this thing kind of took over the planet, didn't it?
But they didn't only take his the music, they were also taking his face off like the boxes and stuff like that. So it's not just his music, but it's also his likeness as well. But that
Right.
show was great. That show was great though. It was just so much fun. It's just I like easy TV like that.
Well, unfortunately, things headed the wrong way for Exhibit, who was forced into bankruptcy. So he's very upset about the fact that, again, it goes back to in later uses, they were editing out his music. Now, there's a lot of reasons why this happens, but sometimes it just comes down to clearance and
Right.
monies to be paid. Sometimes, if rights to a show is sold or assigned the new, let's say it's Netflix, right? So now they own the show and they'll be like, all right, so for us to go and like clear and get new licenses for all of the music, it's going to cost this. Versus if we just swap out the songs for these other
Right.
no named artists, it's going to cost us a fraction of that amount. So then they get cut.
And it's terrible when they do that. I know that I'm sure that some of you, when you're trying to be nostalgic and you're watching older, shows on Netflix, you'll see this a lot. So I remember when they had Wonder Years, the series on there. Wonder Years is known from having its all the great music from the 60s and the 70s in it. You know what I mean? The actual songs, and they would change. And and in the intro of the Wonder Years, the Joe Cocker Beatles cover is just legendary, and everything, all the music was changed in Wonder Years. And so when they finally re-released it again after it had already been streamed forever on Netflix, I mean, they finally got the rights to it, but they couldn't get the rights for the music. And you'll see that all the time. You go, wait, wasn't there this song that was different? I remember it being different here, or this was such a pinnacle scene of something. Or there's cases where you'll see shows like 90210. I don't know if anybody watches 90210, but if there's 90210, and they would have bands that would do live performances on there. Like there'd be a season finale episode where like the Cardigans were playing the season finale, and the season finale is not even on streaming services because they couldn't get the rights to the music for when the Cardigans played, so they just don't even have that episode up. So it's kind of weird when that happens.
When we were talking about this earlier, you were saying, because I didn't know this. Apparently,
Oh yeah.
apparently the reality TV show was staged. So just kind of tell the audience what you're telling me.
Oh no, I mean you could look at it. You could look for videos on this. But a couple of the people that had their rides pimped, came out and they were interviewed, and I don't know if it's called like Pimp My Ride Exposed or something, but they were just talking about, what really happened, to these cars, and a lot of these cars weren't. They were just basically kind of like duct taped together, and like they wouldn't really run. And these people would, when they would get their cars, they would just break down in like a day because the stuff isn't practical. They just did it for like
Right.
TV.
Right.
And when they would come out and react, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, this is awesome!" And then they would make them retake the reactions like 5 or 6 times until you see the
Right. That
classic where
wasn't
they're running.
exciting.
Yeah, and they would, like, one kid I remember saying like he was just getting yelled at, like they were getting really really upset with him and made him do it. He's like, "Dude, I'm excited. This is really cool." And they were like, "No, you got to be running up and down and rolling on the ground." And that's when you would see those reactions. So there was a bunch of people that whatever, but I don't know. Did you see his Exhibit's tweet that he had
Oh
where
yeah, it was quite the lengthy tweet.
Yeah, no, but I mean, he kind of goes in on him a little bit on
Yeah.
there, but I just think it's pretty interesting. But you do see this happen all the time, and it doesn't surprise me when major corporations are trying to screw over talent. You know what I
All
mean?
right. Well, on
But
that
good
note,
luck to X to the Z because I do like him. I actually think that while Pimp My Ride was a great show, I think it actually kind of hurt Exhibit because it kind of made Exhibit kind of corny in a lot of ways because he was just like catering to be, oh man, this is great. Like, talking to these like kids that are trying to get their car. I don't know. He's a rapper. Like Exhibit has really good music. I mean, he's done songs with Dr. Dre. He's done songs. I mean, he's done songs with everybody. Um, And I don't know. I remember just being like, kind of took his cred down when he's just kind of jumping all
Yeah, but
around
I don't know
Pimp My
I don't
Ride.
know if
But
you're in
I
the
like the show.
minority on that. You have a general feeling when it comes to just reality TV in general, and you
Oh no,
feel like
like
when real
yeah,
talent
no,
does reality
no,
TV that
like
it
Mac
takes their
Miller.
stock down.
Mac Miller. I
Yeah.
love Mac Miller's music. I love Mac Miller's music. I couldn't watch his reality TV show. Like it was fine, but it was just cringy to me. It's just like, ugh, like you don't need to be doing that, Mac Miller. Like you're so good. Like you don't need to do that.
But I also get where you're coming from because, especially with like famous, celebrities and artists, we have a tendency of kind of idolizing them. And when we
Mm.
see them for how human they really are, I feel like that can
I just like
ruin
Exhibit being a
smoke and
rapper.
mirrors.
That's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
me. But I like the show. But I like the show. Absolutely no shit on the show. I've probably seen every episode of that show. So Pimp My Ride, they should bring it back with him. Because it would definitely, if they ever rebooted it in a real like way, like if Hulu picked it up or if Netflix picked it up, um, to not have Exhibit and for them to just replace him with somebody else, if that were ever to happen, would just be ridiculous. Like he still looks young. He's still relevant as far as that would go, and people would want to see Exhibit. So